Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to talk about the Denver Nuggets, and we're going to talk about how they've changed from 2022, 2023, their championship run, to last year, and what the differences are, and how they can get back to that point. Let's go. So statistic-wise, we're going to look at four groups of people. The first two we're going to look at are from 2022, 2023, is KCP, Gordon, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., where they were on the floor together. The Nuggets were 9.4 points above expected net rating. When you have KCP, Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, and Bruce Brown, very similar group except you switch Michael Porter and Bruce Brown, you still have 22 points above net rating. Obviously, that's a smaller sample size, and it's just looking at the playoffs, but still, obviously, that shows that those two groups were very, very impactful. I'm going to argue that those two groups are very impactful because they gave Nikola Jokic the spacing that he needed to work. Now, if we look at this past year, when we look at the group of Aaron Gordon, Jokic, Murray, Michael Porter Jr., and Christian Braun, you still see an 11.3 net rating, which is very, very good. Now, the big red flag is you look at the second most group with Nikola Jokic minutes. You have Westbrook, Gordon, Jokic, Murray, and Braun. This group drops all the way down to 1.4 points for net rating, which is still good. That's better, still winning points. That being said, it's a huge drop off when you have who I think this should be the MVP, frankly, on your team. Those minutes need to be much more crucial. We're going to discuss why I think those minutes are lacking. All right, so we're going to look at four examples from last year first off. So this is in Game 7 of OKC, and OKC went with a very heavy, very small lineup where they wanted to essentially double Jokic immediately. So we saw first off, Chet left his man temporarily to go put two on the ball. And then now Caruso's there, so instead Wiggins goes to put two on the ball. They're ignoring Westbrook out here, and they're saying Braun's not going to shoot it quickly either, and so they're essentially willing to gamble off to take away Jokic. So again, Caruso is able to just be super aggressive because he knows he has a bunch of help behind him. SGA, nowhere near Braun. Okay? Their whole philosophy is take away Jokic because no one else on the perimeter can punish you besides Murray and maybe Gordon. And why OKC is such a tough matchup for this is because they play really good help defense. They understand principles and rotations. And so if one person is able to gamble because they have someone that can't shoot on them, everyone else can rotate to help. Okay? So first off, we see a lot of attention on Jamal Murray and then a lot of attention on Jokic in the middle. Defender right here, Wiggins. Who's he guarding? Westbrook. But he's not guarding. He's guarding Jokic. Okay? So they're putting two right there. Look at that. So you have two that are immediately right there being physical, and then Caruso is able to gamble because he knows SGA can rotate Jamal Murray if Jamal Murray pops out, and so they're able to simply just put more on it. Jokic still managed to get a piece of the ball, but it forces just a much more difficult shot than it would be otherwise. All right, so last possession of the first quarter, and so normally with Alex Caruso guarding Jokic, what would he do? Jokic would just post him up, and Alex Caruso wouldn't have a chance. But the reality is because the Thunder don't need to guard some of the other players on the perimeter, like SGA not paying attention to Braun whatsoever, he's able to just shade over, and Caruso can be as physical as he wants because he's smaller, and he can guard him however he wants because he knows he has plenty of help the moment Jokic gets into the paint, and it forces Jokic to take much more difficult shots. And every set that Denver runs to try and get Jokic the ball, which is 90% of their plays, maybe 75, something like that. But he's just going to be swarmed on the inside. Chet is the one guarding Westbrook right here, leaving off. Who's guarding Braun? SGA, maybe? I don't know. Don't even know for sure. They're both providing help on Jamal Murray out there. SGA was out there. And as soon as the ball gets thrown into Jokic, you have three defenders collapsing immediately. And they can just leave the perimeter because they're not shooting threats or not quick shooting threats at minimum. So then if we compare that to 2022, 2023, I think we can see some clear examples of why giving Jokic more space is so crucial. So we have three shooters currently, and then Gordon is a decent shooter as well. These three shooters draw in gravity. Now, it's important to note the Lakers are not the same defensive team, but simply having less defenders between Jokic and the basket is exactly what Denver needs to try and create. So now if we look at this pick and roll right here that's going to happen between Michael Porter and Nikola Jokic, their space right here is what we're looking at in particular. If OKC was here, we'd have two bodies in the paint, and this would never have a chance of working. But because you have spacing out here on the perimeter, look how close these defenders are right here. You have Michael Porter Jr., and when he back cuts, the only person that can help is KD, and KD has to come from a long way. And if KD gets there in time, then Gordon's going to be wide open. Gordon, frankly, is wide open anyway. And so this gives so much spacing, not just for Nikola Jokic, but for anyone that's going to the middle, which gives Denver a huge amount of opportunities. And we've seen it now with multiple different teams, and just look at how much gravity we have on the perimeter. Okay, we have attachment here. And so because you got to respect Jokic, obviously Jimmy Butler has to guard two players, and frankly, one good pass right here from KCP at the rim, and it's an unbelievably easy finish for Aaron Gordon. And the ultimate irony is, if Denver plays with more shooters on the perimeter, we have Michael Porter Jr. and KCP over here, then it opens up more things on the inside. So like the goal isn't even to get more threes. The goal is to get more finishes by Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, whoever is cutting to the rim, and having spacing on the perimeter is what gives them that opportunity. One of the big responses might be like, oh, well, Paul, they just traded Michael Porter Jr., so it doesn't make any sense. But they replaced him with Cam Johnson, a very good shooter, very high volume, very good shooter. Bruce Brown, we already seen he's a good shooter. He was part of that elite squad back in 2023. And Tim Hardaway Jr. is also a very good shooter. And so my big contention is, like, you can have Bron or Westbrook on the court, but you can't have both of them on the court. You got to give yourself space to work with, give Nikola Jokic, the best player in the league, the opportunity to work one-on-one, or if they choose to double, he will punish them every single time, but you got to give them that chance. So I am extremely optimistic for Denver this year. I think they'll be very, very good. I hope they maintain their roster balance, keep everyone healthy, and allow Jokic to dominate the way he frankly should in every single opportunity. If you enjoyed, feel free to like and subscribe, and most importantly, have a blessed rest of your day.